Lesson 25, Factoring Quadratic Expressions. Here's part 1. Solve each problem. Take a look at box A. The factors of 63 are 1 times 63 and 7 times 9. Box B. 63 plus 1 equals 64. 9 plus 7 equals 16. Finally, box C. 63 minus 1 equals 62. 9 minus 7 equals 2. Part 2 and Part 3 share the same directions, but Part 3 has the more difficult problems, so let's go straight there. Here are the directions. Factor the quadratic expressions in row 1, then use multiplication in row 2 to check your work. Here's box G1. Here we have n squared minus 2n minus 63, and we're going to factor this quadratic expression. So on the next line, write down equals, and we're going to find 1, 2 factors. First, we have n squared, and I know that the factors of n squared are n times n. So I'll write down n times n. Now, find the two numbers whose product is negative 63 and whose sum is negative 2. Notice here that since the product is negative, one of the factors will also be negative, so I'll write down a negative sign here. Ignore this negative sign for now. Find the two factors of 63 whose difference is 2. And I know it's going to be 9 times 7 because 9 times 7 equals 63 and 9 minus 7 equals 2. But which one will be positive and which one will be negative? Use the sum for a clue. Since the sum is negative, the larger factor will also be negative. So we're going to use negative 9 and positive 7. Here's negative 9 and positive 7. So our final answer is n minus 9 times n plus 7. Let's use box G2 to check our work. We'll write down n minus 9 times n plus 7, and we'll write it vertically. So here is n minus 9 times n plus 7. Let's multiply. Negative 9 times 7 equals negative 63. 7 times n equals 7n. Negative 9 times n equals negative 9n. N times n equals n squared. Let's add them up. Here we have n squared minus 2n minus 63. So our final answer is n squared minus 2n minus 63. And notice how that matches our original problem. Here's box H1. N squared plus 2n minus 63. So let's factor. Write down equals, and we're going to find 1, 2 factors. First up, we have n squared, and the factors of n squared are n times n, so we'll write down n times n. Next, find the two numbers whose product is negative 63 and whose sum is 2. And notice that since the product is negative, that means one of the factors will also be negative. Ignore this negative sign for now. Find the two factors of 63 whose difference is 2. And I know it's going to be 9 times 7 because 9 times 7 equals 63 and 9 minus 7 equals 2. But which one will be positive and which one will be negative? Use the sum for a hint. Since the sum is positive, that means the larger factor will also be positive. So we're going to use positive 9 and negative 7. Here's positive 9 and negative 7. So our final answer is n minus 7 times n plus 9. Also notice this. If students reverse these two factors and write down n plus 9 times n minus 7, this is correct as well, because when you multiply these two together, you will get n squared plus 2n minus 63. Finally, let's go over box I1. N squared minus 64n plus 63. Let's go ahead and factor. On the next line, write down equals, and we're going to find 1, 2 factors. First up, we have n squared. And the factors of n squared are n times n, so write it down. And now we need to find the two numbers whose product equals 63 and whose sum equals negative 64. And notice that since the product is positive, both of these numbers will either be both positive or both negative. Use the sum as a clue. Since the sum is negative, that means both of these numbers will be negative. Now, find the two factors of 63 whose sum is 64. And I know it's going to be 63 times 1, because 63 times 1 equals 63, and 63 plus 1 equals 64. But remember, they're both going to be negative, so we're going to have negative 63 and negative 1. Here's negative 63 and negative 1. So our final answer is n minus 63 times n minus 1. Once again, be sure to check your work by multiplying those two factors in box I2.